Hello friends, welcome to iQUANTA. Here is the video solution for CAT level RCSET 12. So those of you who have not read the passage yet on Facebook group, they can simply pause this screen and read the passage here. And those of you who have already read it, they can jump to the solution part. Now I hope you have read it. Let's start talking about it. So with every event in our life, small or big, every event is associated with certain kind of emotion. For example, India wins the match, you feel very jovial about it, you want to celebrate. India loses the match, you are disappointed, you are not happy and you want to react. So it's just one example. It's like in everyday life with small or big, any kind of event, someone comes to you and passes a remark about you, you feel about it. Either you feel very delighted or you feel very dejected, you feel in a certain way. So that feeling is the first response. In the passage, it talks about stoicism, and this stoicism has defined these emotions in two ways, in two categories. It consists of two different moments. The first moment is the immediate feeling and other reactions such as physiological responses. So this is the first moment related to any kind of event in your life. So something happens and you have a feeling, you have a certain emotion about it, which is immediate. You cannot stop it. That thing has been discussed here, that it is impossible to prevent this. It is talking about the same thing, this first kind of moment, this immediate emotion, this immediate feeling that you have related to that event. You cannot do anything about it, it will happen, it is very natural, and there is nothing wrong in that, because we are human beings, emotion characterizes us, it's our speciality that we are able to feel in different kind of ways, and we are able to express those feelings in different kind of ways. So this second way, this second moment is related to that expression of those emotions and feelings that had hit immediately after the event. So the stoicism, it's a philosophy that says it's okay to have that immediate emotion or feeling after that event, but according to stoicism, you should hold your horses after that immediate impulse, and you should not react impulsively. It's trying to say that don't react, rather act. So hold your horses, think for a while, measure the pros and cons, and then act accordingly. So that's what this stoicism argues. And then there is an example related to Marcus Aurelius has been given, that an admiral comes and tries to insult him by saying that he is a traitor. Then what could have been the immediate impulse, what could have been the immediate emotions in the mind of Marcus Aurelius, and how he might have responded. So with this example here, this first paragraph is trying to explain this first moment, the immediate feeling, and the second moment, which is the response, whether it is immediate. If it is immediate, it is impulsive. According to stoicism, it should not be immediate. This second response should not be immediate after the first response. You should take your time, you should measure your action and then act accordingly. In the second paragraph, it talks about, it has compared stoicism with another philosophy which is called Epicureanism, and just like stoicism where you are advised to control your emotions, Epicureanism also advocates controlling your emotions. Though Epicureanism allows you to enjoy simple pleasures of life such as good conversation with your friends, food, wine and etc., but don't be indulgent in these pursuits. So it's okay if you enjoy these small pleasures, it's okay, but don't be indulgent, don't indulge in these activities so much that you consider it to be the primary objective of your life. You feel like you are born to enjoy and you are born to like drink and talk to your friends and be jovial all the time. Don't give too much value to irrelevant things like power and money. So both these philosophies, Epicureanism and Stoicism, they advise you not to go after power and money because these are worldly affairs, and you should, and Epicureanism says that just enjoy the small pleasures, don't go after these things. So this philosophy has been discussed in the second paragraph, and in the last paragraph you get the mention of Buddhism, and just like Stoicism you will find the elements of Stoicism in the Buddhist philosophy as well, and here it advocates that cultivating a certain attitude that decreases the probability of destructive second movements, and destructive second movements according to this. So, this could be destructive second movement if you respond immediately, and though through meditation and the right attitude one allows emotions to happen to oneself. So, even if you pursue meditation and right attitude, you will still allow these emotions to happen because it is impossible to prevent this. This sentence is important. It is trying to say that if you meditate and follow the right attitude, still these emotions will be there. For example, a lot of us complain constantly that why do I keep thinking about unnecessary thing, my mind is always thinking about one thing or the other, how can I stop my mind from thinking? Please never try to do that because it is impossible. You cannot stop your heart from pumping, you cannot stop any of your internal organs from functioning. So, brain is just an internal organ, how can you stop it from functioning? It's good that it is functional all the time, it's good that it is you are thinking about some or the other thing all the time. So, don't worry about it, it's very natural. So, these emotions related to any kind of events, they are very natural, you won't be able to prevent them because they will be there. But through meditation and right attitude, you can actually control how you behave afterwards. So, if you have followed the right attitude and if you have practiced meditation to a certain extent, you will have control over your emotions and you will know how to respond after those immediate emotions. This is what this paragraph is trying to say. And also towards the end it says that Stoicism, the idea of Stoicism has also developed many kind of monotheistic religions just like Judaism, Christianity and Islam, and with Stoicism tenets of these religions, tenets is like principles, include controlling our emotions lest we engage in sinful behavior. So, we should pursue Stoicism so that we don't indulge in sinful behaviors. So, this is the passage. Stoicism has been discussed, two kind of moments, one is immediate response, and if you act immediately that could be disastrous, but you should hold your horses after that immediate response. So, after that immediate feelings and emotions, and measure the pros and cons and then act accordingly. Meditation can be helpful in doing that. This thing has been discussed. Now, let us go to the questions. On the basis of the passage, which one of the following statements can be regarded as true? So, we have read the passage, three of these statements are not true according to the passage, one is true, we have to find that. One says, A says, the Epicureans believed in controlling all emotions. I don't think so, maybe, because it is talking about controlling emotions. It's not talking about not having the emotions at all, but it's talking about controlling emotions. Let's read the others. There were no, and we are looking for the one which can be regarded as true. There were no Stoics in India at the time of the Roman civilization. So, nothing has been discussed about Stoicism in India. So, we cannot say that it is true. We cannot call it to be true. This is certainly not true because we had no idea about Stoicism in India at the time of Roman civilization. C says the Stoic influences can be seen in multiple religions. Is it true? I think it is true because in the last paragraph you will see that developing virtue in oneself, and here laid the foundation for three monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. So, yes, this statement looks true that Stoic influences can be seen in multiple religions. Yes, certainly it is true. And D says the Stoics valorized the pursuit of money, power and sexual gratification. No, they did the exact opposite. They demonized the pursuit of money, power and sexual gratification. They do not advocate this. So, this is very obvious So, two of these choices are very easy to eliminate. What about Epicureans? So, the Epicureans believed in controlling all emotions? No, they said that it is okay to enjoy simple pleasures of life. It's okay to enjoy a conversation with your friend, it's okay to enjoy a little bit of wine, but don't just indulge in these kind of pursuits. So, this is also not very much true, and this is certainly true that Stoic influences can be seen in multiple religions. It is certainly true. So, can be regarded as true? C is the answer. Let us see the second question. It says, which one of the following statements, if false? This is interesting. Every question of this kind is very interesting, because this pesters a lot to the students, and they are always bothered with these kind of questions. So, whenever you encounter these kind of questions, there is one thing that you need to know, because it is very difficult to judge these choices if they are considered to be false. Then you will have to think a lot and think very deeply, which is kind of tricky. So, there is a way that you can make this question very simple. Whenever you encounter this wording in a question, just convert this into the opposite. So, it says that which of the following statements, if false, could be seen as contradictory. So, if false, it will contradict the facts or arguments in the passage, which means if it is true, it will support. So, your question is still the same. Which of the following statements, if true, now if you judge these statements considering them to be true, then it is easy to find the answer. You can analyze the situation better. So, which of the following statements, if true, could be seen as supporting, not contradicting, but supporting? Because if it is false, it will contradict, which means if it is true, it will not contradict, rather it will support the facts or arguments in the passage. Now, you have simplified the question. Now, let us analyze the choices. A says, in the Epicurean view, indulging in simple pleasure is not desirable. Now, this could be tricky, but it should not be tricky, because you have understood the question. If it is true, it should be supporting the facts or arguments in the passage. Is it supporting the facts or arguments in the passage? I think yes, it is supporting, because here it says, Epicureanism says that people should enjoy simple pleasures such as good conversations, friendships, food and wine, but not be, look at this, people should not be indulgent in these pursuits. It is very clearly written here. People should not be indulgent in these pursuits. Now, this choice says, in the Epicurean view, indulging in simple pleasure is not desirable. So, if you enjoy it a little bit, that's okay, but if you just indulge in those activities, it is not desirable. So, is it saying the same thing as the passage has? Yes, it is saying the same thing, that not be indulgent in these pursuits according to Epicureanism. So, now you can see that this statement is certainly supporting the facts or arguments in the passage. So, this is the answer. Let us analyze the others also. B says, despite practicing meditation and cultivating the right attitude, emotions can never be controlled. Now, some of you might be confused here between these two choices, between A and B. You might think that this could also be the answer, because it is also supporting the argument, but no, it is not supporting the argument. Why? Because in the last paragraph it says, let me read the exact words, that it is impossible to prevent these kind of emotions. You cannot stop these emotions, these feelings from happening. They will happen despite the right attitude and meditation. You cannot stop these emotions from happening. But that statement in the question, it is not saying that you cannot stop them. It is saying that it cannot be controlled. Is it true? No, it is not true. With the right attitude and meditation, these emotions can be controlled. They will be there, but your actions will be controlled. You will learn the art of controlling your emotions with meditation. So, is this statement true? Is it supporting the paragraph? Now, I don't think so. Despite practicing meditation and cultivating the right attitude, emotions can never be controlled. No, they can be controlled. You can learn the art of controlling your emotions through meditation and right attitude. So, this is not supporting the arguments in the passage. And what are we looking for? That if true would support. Now, we have changed the question. We have simplified the question. So, we are looking for something that would support the argument, and this will not support the argument because it says you cannot control. Actually, you can control. What you cannot is, you cannot stop them from happening. You cannot stop these emotions, they will be there. C says, in the Stoic view, choosing a reasoned unemotional response as the first moment is an appropriate response to the emotional situations. No, Stoicism says this about not the first moment but about the second moment. So, according to the Stoicism, choosing a reasoned unemotional response as the second moment is an appropriate response to emotional situations. You will find this in the first paragraph. So, it is not about the first but the second moment. So, this is also not true. This is also not supporting. If true, it is not supporting. And D says the Greek philosopher Zeno survived into the Roman era until about AD 300. So, this paragraph says that Stoicism was founded in 300 BC and survived into the Roman era until about 300 AD. So, the passage has claimed that about Stoicism, not about Zeno. So, again it is just a word play to confuse the audience. This is not true. This is not supporting the fact given in the passage. The Greek philosopher Zeno survived into the... No, it is not given about the Greek philosopher Zeno. It is given about Stoicism. So, these three statements, if true, will not support the fact or the argument given in the paragraph. But this one, if true, will support the argument given in the paragraph. I hope you got this, and understanding this is very important, because these days they are asking these kind of questions very frequently. So, double negative, like if false contradicts, and there can be sometimes there can be triple negatives. So, it is very important to practice these kind of questions. You should be always ready to answer and understand these kind of questions. Question number 3. It quotes this from the passage that through meditation and the right attitude one allows emotions to happen to oneself, but one is advised to observe the emotion without necessarily acting on them. Yes. So, don't react, rather act, don't be impulsive, and one achieves some distance and decides what has value and what does not have value. So, you should learn the art of identifying what is important for you and what is not. Now, in the context of the passage, which one of the following is not a possible implication of the quoted statement? So, this quoted statement is trying to say three of these things except for one. So, we can understand three of these things except for one. We are looking for that statement which cannot be inferred from here, or which this statement is not trying to imply. Let us read the choices. Meditation allows certain out of body, this is the problem word, out of body experiences that permit us to gain the distance necessary to control our emotions. So, if it simply says that, actually all the choices are very close, and you have to say that this cannot be inferred, or this quote is not implying this. After reading the others only you will understand why. The only problem word in this sentence is this, out of body experiences. No out of body experiences has been indicated towards, so you should not infer these kind of things. And if you read others, you will feel that yes, this quoted sentence is trying to imply all these three things. It is trying to tell you that emotional responses can make it difficult to distinguish valuable experiences from unvaluable experiences. So, has it been implied in this sentence? Yes, because one achieves some distance and decides what has value and what does not have value. But what can be a hindrance? Emotions. Your emotions can be the hindrance in understanding this. But if you just learn how to control your emotions, you can distinguish between valuable experiences from valuable experiences. This is what this quote is trying to say. So, yes, it has been implied here. And C says the observation of emotions in a distant manner corresponds to the second moment. So, when you observe the emotions and analyze them, and after absorbing them completely, you choose to act accordingly on your own terms, which means you are going for the second moment. According to the Stoicism, there were two moments. One is immediate impulse or the immediate emotion. The other is your balanced or observed and balanced response. So, yes, the observation of emotions in a distance manner corresponds to the second moment referred to earlier in the passage. Yes, it is also true. And D says meditation and the right attitude in this instant implies an initially passive reception of all the experiences. Yes, initially passive. Something happens, but you remain passive initially. You don't act immediately, and you don't act immediately, which means you don't act initially, which means you remain passive initially. So, yes, it has also been implied. So, these three statements have clearly been employed here, plus this part, out of body experiences, make this choice incorrect, though this thing is okay, this time necessary control to control our emotions. So, yes, this allows this, but not through out of body experiences. Nothing is happening out of body, all those experiences, all those emotions, all those feelings are happening within your body. So, this one is the answer, because this is not a possible implication. Question number 4, it says which one of the following statements would be an accurate inference from the example of Marcus Aurelius. So, see, accurate inference. Inference is only something which is 100% true, which can be said 100% after reading the text. So, after reading a particular part or the paragraph or the passage, you can say that for sure, there is no doubt about it. Only that statement can be the inference. So, that is why usually the statements written in maybe, could be, possibly, they are likely not the inferences, because inference is like a statement which can certainly be said. So, sometimes if maybe can certainly be said, then it is very rare, but only in those kind of special cases those statements will be your answers. So, let us see which of the following can be said for sure, which of the following is 100% true. So, A says that Marcus Aurelius was humiliated by the accusation of the treason in front of the other officers. So, is it true that he felt humiliated? Let us go to the passage and check it. So, accused Marcus Aurelius of treason in front of other officers. The first moment of Marcus may have been, it says may have been, what? Surprise, anger, or response to this insult. So, it could have been surprise, it could have been anger, or it could have been, he could have condoned it immediately, entirely. He would not react at all. It could have been anything, or he could have killed him immediately. So, you have no idea about his actions, and he may have been surprised, it may have been surprise and anger in response to this insult. But here it says that he was humiliated by the accusation of treason in front of the other officers. So, it is confusing, but if you just hold for a while and put this choice like maybe, it could be the answer, because not very clear. After reading that statement, it looks like maybe he was humiliated, because insult was written there, but it was written with maybe. But still, let us wait for a while and see if we can get something better. B says Marcus Aurelius was one of the leaders of the Roman army. Is it true? Let's go to that part. Accompanied perhaps by some involuntary physiological and expressive responses such as face flushing and a movement of the eyebrows. The second movement is what one does next about the emotion. Second moment behaviors occur after thinking and are under one's control. Example of second moment for Marcus might have included a plot to seek revenge, actions signifying deference and appeasement, or perhaps proceeding as he would have proceeded whether or not this event occurred, continuing to lead the Romans in a way that Marcus Aurelius believed best benefited them. So, continuing to lead the Romans, which means he was leading the Romans. So, and why can we not say that he was humiliated? Because of this, look at his various responses which were possible. So, he could have responded. Examples of second moment for Marcus might have included a plot to seek revenge, actions signifying deference and appeasement, or perhaps proceeding, ignoring it completely, as he would have proceeded whether or not this event occurred, continuing to lead the Romans in a way that Marcus Aurelius believed best benefited them. So, from this part we can conclude two things, that you cannot say for sure that he was humiliated because his second moment was not defined, even his first impulse was not defined. So, this cannot be said for sure, and inference is something which can be said for sure, 100% true. So, Marcus Aurelius was one of the leaders of the Roman army, yes, continuing to lead them as he was doing earlier, which means he was already a leader of the Roman army. And this says that Marcus Aurelius was a stoic. No, we cannot say that he was a stoic. Marcus Aurelius has been discussed only as an example to explain two moments that Stoicism has defined about emotions, first moment and the second moment. And to explain these two moments, Marcus Aurelius has been discussed only as an example. We cannot say that he was a Stoic himself. Marcus Aurelius plotted revenge in his quest for justice. He could have, but we don't know. So, these things could have, this thing is for sure true. So, inference is not something which could have been the case, inference is something which certainly was the case. So, this certainly was the case. He was one of the leaders of the Roman army. So, that is all for now, and this passage was, I think, from 2022, and again very interesting and good passage. And if you want to practice from the relevant sources, nothing can be better than PYQs. So, we will be continuing this series of PYQs, and some of you have already argued that I should be bringing passages not from the previous year questions, but from other sources, but because we have only limited time now, so it is best advised that you practice from the most relevant sources, which is PYQs. So, maybe in the coming days we will be doing these PYQs on the continuous basis. That is all for now. Thank you very much.